Thank you for coming to the graduation of 2000. Today is a very important day for all of us. The graduation class is primarily made up of people we've grown up with, and that's why it's so special for all of us. We became friends in kindergarten. We walked through the hallways of our elementary school together, and our high school with the one hallway. We walked together. With 40 people in one class, we're very tight. We're almost like a family. And with everything good, there must come to an end. And today is our end, the end of the class of 2000. We have raised the bar here a considerable amount for academics, athletics, and all-around great personality. Our class of 2000 has everything. No matter what the next classes try to do, they will always be in the shadow of the class of 2000. Thank you.
Presenting the Robert E. Landry Memorial Award will be James Fuller, last year's past recipient.
I love going first. The Robert E. Landry Award, as I found out last year when I was awarded it, is presented to the individual in the community who, in the opinion of many, has done the most to help and to encourage the youth of the city to become all they can be. Last year, I was standing over by the door, and Bert Villemere was presenting the award, and he was saying how this year it comes to a police officer who works with kids, was a scoutmaster, was a coach, has done this, has done that. I'm standing there going, hey, isn't that great? They're giving Tom Froggen an award. He called my name, and I was really surprised. Let me tell you about this year's recipient. He's a police officer. He is a scoutmaster. He's a coach. He has worked tirelessly for a new playground for the community. He's probably delivered all your papers. There isn't a child in this city who doesn't know him and has benefited from him. This year's recipient of the Robert E. Landry Award goes to Tom Fraga.
I don't want to take away from the students, but I really do appreciate this. It's a great honor. Thank you very much.
Presenting the salutatory address will be Bridget Everts.
Governor Howard Dean, Superintendent Karen, Mr. Knoyer, members of Winooski Board of School Trustees, graduates, faculty, staff, and friends. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you. Thanks to my teachers for giving me the chance to shine. Thanks to my coaches for pushing me to be a better athlete. Thanks to my classmates for being my support. And thanks to my family for putting up with me. These years have been more than I ever expected. I never expected to lose 4 years of soccer or 3 years of basketball, and I certainly never expected to do it with so much dignity. If this school has taught me anything, it has taught me how to accept the failures along with the successes, and that is a very important aspect of life. The road will not always be smooth, and the sun will not always be shining, but with the lessons I have learned here, there is nothing that will hold me down. Now, I'm not trying to say that everything here has failed miserably and we all learn to deal with it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's the closeness of the community and the caring environment that instills pride in the students. It's the smiles that we share and the tears that we all live through that bring us together. And I may never have won a state championship, but I know what victory is. In closing, I'd like to warn all of the friends, teachers, coaches, and family to keep your eyes open, because this class, by no means, is through shining. And to my classmates who have shared 4 adventurous years with me, I want to leave you with some advice from a song written by Mark Sanders and Tia Sellers, and if you were at the breakfast, you already heard it. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance and never settle for the path of least resistance. Living might mean taking chances, but they're worth taking, and loving might be a mistake, but it's worth making. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. The valedictory address will be given by Mark Thompson.
I'd like to thank the teachers, friends, administrators, faculty, and Winooski community, especially parents, for their many contributions to the class of 2000. We'll always find a place in our heart for all of you. However, I'd like to direct this speech toward the class. Since we were little, we were told to be humble. Don't brag, your friends won't like you. Well, this is graduation. This is our time to shine. Pat yourselves on the back for a job well done. It's easy to admit simple truths. My gown is green, my shoes are black. But when it comes to admitting truths about ourselves, it is harder. Our class is smart, ambitious, intelligent, artistic, athletic, hardworking, deserving, and goal-seeking. TV commercials are like a dream. A car commercial puts you behind the wheel of a new sports vehicle. The next day, you get into your beat-up car, and you think, this is just not it. How does a commercial work? It gives you a vision. Then you see the reality. There is a gap between the vision and the reality. This gap motivates you to take action. You can use the same technique to benefit yourself. Create a picture in your head, any goal or vision you set for the future. Keep telling yourself you are, and you will become. As high school graduates, we individually have the opportunity to go out and do what we really love to do. Now is our chance. It is time to go out and really live out our dreams. I've noticed that there are two kinds of people, watchers and doers. It's the people who participate in life who become the winners, and it's those who hang back, who watch the winners win. Going out into the world can be scary, but don't be afraid to take action. Action is what separates real winners from watchers. Some people think that when you graduate, you become responsible. That's not true. We've always been responsible. Responsibility means that we have the ability to respond differently. You can have all the great ideas in the world, but you must respond correctly. Have you ever thought of an idea in class, didn't say it, and then someone said it, and they got all the credit? The best idea with no action is worthless, compared to a mediocre idea with action. Remember, there is no such thing as failure. Over the course of your lives, you will find many challenges. Failure is just a delay in results. Would it be possible to learn less of something? A failure experience teaches you something. Don't be afraid to take risks. If you don't understand something, you have to ask. Ask, 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 and then ask some more. If someone denies you help, there are 6 billion people on this earth, and you can ask enough, you're sure to bound to get an answer. It's okay to go for your dream in life. Inside each person, there's a little kid inside saying, I have a dream. Will you have the courage and the willpower to make that dream a reality? Thomas Edison invented the electric light bulb. He had a dream. He tried 10,000 filaments before he got a glow. What if he had stopped at the 9,999th try? What if he had given up? You see, he never failed once to invent the light bulb. It was just a 10,000-step process. When one filament didn't work, he just tried another. He saw the results, responded to feedback. We can all respond to feedback. Your worst enemies can have the best advice sometimes because they come out and say what is wrong. We need feedback and mistakes for improvement. Now you all have goals and you all have dreams that you're shooting for. The strain of life may make you want to quit. How do you know when to quit? When to give up your goal? Winston Churchill, after World War II, went back to his school. He delivered the shortest speech he ever gave. They asked him the same question, when to give up? He stood up, and one of the greatest orators of the modern era said, never, never, never.
Thank you, Mark. Our commencement speaker will be introduced by David Muir IV.
How's everyone doing? Pretty good? Okay. It is my privilege to present today's commencement speaker, Governor Howard Dean. He has been elected to 3 terms as governor of the state of Vermont. He has been a teacher, physician, legislator, and lieutenant governor. He is a parent of teenagers and a resident of Burlington. He has been a solid supporter of our educational system. We are honored that he has agreed to address our class at our graduation today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Howard Dean, MD, Governor of Vermont.
Thank you. Well, as you know, when dignitaries come and makes graduation speech, sometimes they make news. I hardly ever like to do that because I like to talk to the graduates, which is what I'm going to do. But I do want to say 2 things. The first is, this is an extraordinary class, but you may not know why. This is the school which has shown the single largest improvement in the New Standards Reference Exam tests over the last 3 years of any school in the entire state. So you have a lot to be proud of here. And I think that says a lot, of course, for the students, but it also says a lot for the teachers, the school board, and the parents and support. It is true that I really care deeply about public education, but it's also true that no matter how great the teachers are and how hard they work, and no matter how great the school board is and how many computers you have, the single most important variable in how well kids do in education in school, not the only variable, but the single most important, is the attitude of their parents towards education. So I do think we ought to give the parents a little hand here for that as well. The second is the sort of the little news-making piece of this. As you are aware, last year was an awful year for schools, not so much in Vermont, but around the country with the Columbine shooting and some other tragedies around schools. And as a result of that, I called together a lot of kids and a lot of adults, and we started a meeting last August in Randolph to discuss school climate. And one of the things that came out of there was came out of that meeting, and then some regional meetings, was something that I learned a lot, although I should have known it in the first place, which was that the respect has to go 2 ways. It's not enough just for adults to talk about kids respecting adults more. It's also kids, students, wanting respect from us. And one of the suggestions they had made at that meeting was to put students on the State Board of Education. And a bill passed that did that, and so I'm appointing a student from Brattleboro and a student from Moncton who goes to Mount Anthony, Miranda Jones of Moncton and Isaac Evan France of Brattleboro to the State Board of Education as of today. And I thought I would announce that at a high school graduation because it was you all that did that, and I really appreciate that. And I think what's going to happen, we interviewed a lot of people who are really talented for these positions, and what I'm going to start doing is putting people your age on state boards, because I think that there are an enormous number of talented kids in this state, and I think adults make a mistake if we don't listen more. Now, don't expect us to do what you tell us all the time, but I think the idea is that it is true that respect has to be a 2-way street, and we have to respect opinions of younger folks if they're going to respect our opinions. And so that process is starting today, and I'm going to take some kids from that interview process who didn't get on the state board and put them on other boards, and it's going to be something that's really exciting. So if any of you are interested, please see me after. Now, I don't remember anything about I remember a lot about my high school graduation, but not anything from the speeches. And so I'm going to try to make this very short and very simple on the hope that you might remember something of this, because as I say, I don't remember anything of any of the speeches from my high school or college graduation. But there are 3 messages that I hope that you'll learn from or listen to. One of them builds on something that Mark said in his speech, and that has to do with how you learn and how we can achieve, and also the relationship of failure to learning. And that is something, a saying by a famous British philosopher that says, chance favors the prepared mind. Now, what does that mean? There was a famous British scientist named Alexander Fleming, who some of you may have heard of, who was experimenting in the 1930s with how to grow bacteria. And he was growing bacteria on a petri dish and a plate, And one day he went into the lab and found that a green mold had floated its way through the air, dropped down on his petri dish, and grown over a couple of days, and ruined his experiment. So Alexander Fleming looked at this big green mold on his petri dish, which had ruined his experiment, and probably said a few things that are probably not repeatable in a graduation address, and went to throw it out. And on his way to the wastebasket, he looked at the dish again and noticed that there was bacteria growing around the edges, which was supposed to happen. It made the dish kind of cloudy. In the middle, around the green mold, was a clear zone. That meant there were no bacteria. And he looked at that for a minute, and he thought about it, and he realized that the green mold had something in it that was killing bacteria, and the mold turned out to be penicillin, and Alexander Fleming discovered the most important medical discovery of the 20th century, because he failed, because chance favored the prepared mind, and because out of the failure and the mistake in the experiment, because he was well educated and thought about all the things, the lessons that he was learning, he found a lesson that he hadn't intended to learn and learned from it and made a great discovery. Life is like that a lot. Most people aren't going to end up being like Alexander Fleming, but things happen to us that we have no control over. Sometimes there's a lesson to be learned that none of us expect. So chance favors the prepared mind. The second is that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Now, the big lesson is, that I like to use, is World War I. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Hundreds of thousands of Americans died, millions of Europeans died in World War I. It was an awful, awful war. You've studied it. And after World War I was over and the Americans and the British and the French won World War I, we, all of the winners, exacted huge concessions out of the losers. We were going to be absolutely positive they paid for what they did to our people, and we squeezed them and squeezed them and squeezed them every last nickel to get them to pay us back for all the money and the lives that we'd put into the war. And the result was that those countries felt treated so badly, eventually resulted in the rise of Hitler and World War II. After World War II, where we lost even more people, and more Europeans died as well, as the biggest casualties of any war, a man named George Marshall, who was a general, became Secretary of State, and under President Truman started something called the Marshall Plan. Instead of squeezing the people that we'd beaten for every nickel, as we did after the First World War, we gave them money. We gave them aid, and we rebuilt Germany and Japan and most of Europe. And today, Germany and Japan have democratic systems, and they are among our strongest allies. We learned from what happened after World War I. We didn't do the same thing again, and we had a much better system afterwards. Well, that's the big picture lesson. It's also very true in every person's life. Everybody is going to make a mistake. Some of us are going to make big mistakes. When we do, it's really important to learn from those mistakes, because if you don't, you repeat the mistake again and again and again. And it's natural for us to repeat the mistake again and again and again. We have to learn from our mistakes. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Finally, the last thing and the most important thing that I'd like you to try to remember from this day. This is a very special community. This is the only high school in Chittenden County with a graduating class, to my knowledge, of less than 100. And small schools are incredibly special places, and I've known that. I've spent a lot of time in this school I probably talked to you when you were in junior high school, actually, I suspect. It's a fantastic school, and it's a great community, and it's a very close-knit community. There are many generations of people here, including that one, and I'll remember him when I come back in 2010. There are many generations of people here, and we're all your families. Now, most kids your age, and I have kids who are almost your age, can't wait to get out when they get out of high school. And I know that some of you are going to go on to college, some of you are going to go on to work, some of you are going to go on to the service. And when you leave here, it is exciting to leave, and I know you need to grow and spread your wings and all those things. But I don't want you to forget this community, because sometimes things don't look so well when you leave, and things get a little tough. And you're out from home, and it's a great feeling, but it's also a very tough feeling. And there's no disgrace in thinking about your family. There's no disgrace in leaning on your family for some support. I remember when I went to college, and I was pretty independent, but I lived abroad for a year. I was so shocked by what I encountered. I went home after 2 weeks and said, geez, I didn't expect this. And so my parents shoehorned me back on the train and sent me back up, and there's no disgrace in that. So the last thing that I want to leave you with is something that's important, because I know you want to leave, but I also want you to know that we don't want you to leave all forever, and we love you and we care about you. So the last thing I want you to remember is call home.
And a gift of appreciation for you for taking time out to share your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our program is a presentation by the senior class band, The Greatest Love of All. thank you to our senior members of the band and Maestro Perkins. Before we do our scholarships, I'd like to make a few remarks to the senior class. Okay, I'll be good. You made it. You finally completed the many requirements that we developed to complete your high school course of study. For some of you, today marks the end of your formal schooling, and for others, this is just but one stop along the way. For all of you, today is the beginning of your journey. As Mary Jane Peters mentioned at our breakfast this morning, prepare well for the journey. You make the choices from this point on, so choose wisely. Thought she gave you some good guidance on how to do that. Winooski High School, indeed, the entire community is a community unlike most others, as Governor Dean mentioned in his remarks. In our 1.2 square miles, we have a tight-knit group of people who know how to work hard and to work together. Our small school provides a level of support and understanding that many schools envy. Your class is one of the most together we've seen. You've lived up to the promise you made in the fall during Spirit Week that became your motto, forever will you be in our shadow. And I don't think you're really going to realize that until you leave and we see what you've left behind. You've raised the standard for all to follow. 13 of you graduate with 3.0 averages or better. 8 of you are members of the National Honor Society. Members of your class have distinguished themselves athletically, musically, and through service and leadership within our community. We are proud of what you leave behind as your legacy to our school. Traditions abound in Winooski. We have several teachers on our current faculty that sat where you are right now, not so many years ago. As I mentioned at the honors dinner a couple of weeks ago, maybe one of you will return and join our faculty in the future. I would dearly love that. I would like to recognize the 4 class advisors of this senior class, Jim DeFilippi, Kathy Mander-Adams, Cindy Orff, and Margaret Whitby. These people responsible for the class commencement and class activities through this year and others. We thank you for supporting the class. Thank you. I count many members of your class as friends, and I know that you are well prepared to move forward into the new life that begins today. Thank you for everything that you've done to enrich my life and those at Winooski High School. I wish you all the best in your journey. Before awarding the graduation scholarships and awards, it's appropriate for us to recognize the members of the class of 2000 who've been honored with awards this June in other settings. Please stand to be recognized as your names are read. Recipients of booster scholarships include Alyssa Burbo, Megan Furnett, David Muir IV, and Nicholas Scandori. The recipient of the VSAC Curtis Memorial Scholarship, Elizabeth Potvin. And the recipient of the North Country Federal Credit Union Scholarship, Nicholas Scandori. Nick, if you could come up. Nick, if you could come to the podium, please. You know the batting order, right? I'm just going to read. The VFW Community Service Award. The VFW Community Service Award is presented to 2 graduates in recognition of outstanding community service. The 2000 recipients of the VFW Community Service Award are Alyssa Burbo and Nicholas Scandori. The Samuel Samuelson Memorial Award. The Samuel Samuelson Memorial Award is presented to the student who has shown the greatest desire for learning during the 4 years of high school. The recipient of the Samuel Samuelson Memorial Award for 2000 is Mark Thompson. Certificates of award. These awards are given in recognition of outstanding accomplishments in individual academic areas and school activities. We are pleased to announce special achievement in one area this year. For excellence in mathematics over his 4 years of high school, Mrs. Sharon James recognizes Mark Thompson. The Save Our Seniors program, sponsored by the Vermont Department of Education, recognizes a senior who signed a contract in December agreeing to stay alcohol and drug-free, wear their safety belts, and maintain a clean driving record for the remainder of their senior year. Joining 140 high school seniors across the state vying for the chance to win the free use of a Dodge Neon car for the year is Elizabeth Potvin. Good luck, Beth. The Winooski Eagles Scholarship. The Winooski Eagles Scholarship is presented by an anonymous donor to a deserving student continuing his or her education. The 2000 recipient of the Winooski Eagles Scholarship is Lee Ravelin. The Winooski Knights of Columbus Scholarship. The Winooski Knights of Columbus Scholarship is presented by the St. Stephen's Council to a deserving student. The 2000 recipient of the Winooski Knights of Columbus Scholarship is Patrick Breen. The Service Scholarship. The Service Scholarship, donated by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to a student who volunteers dependable and well-organized assistance within the school and or within the community. The 2000 recipient of the Service Scholarship is Michelle Primo. The Board of School Directors Awards. These awards, co-sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, are presented to two graduates who have shown the most improvement during their 4 years of high school. The 2000 recipients of the Board of School Directors Award are Michaela Shea and Nicholas Witten. The Student Council Scholarship. The Student Council Scholarship, co-sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to a student who has made notable contributions to bettering Winooski High School, who has served his or her community, who is active in school activities, and who handles responsibilities willingly and efficiently. The 2000 recipient of the Student Council Scholarship should be no surprise to anyone in our school, Mr. Nicholas Scandori. Nick is the past president of the Student Council. The Winooski Police Employees Scholarship. The Winooski Police Employees Association Scholarship is sponsored by Dollars for Scholars and is presented to students going on to college in the field of criminal justice or social service. The 2000 recipients of the Winooski Police Employees Association Scholarship are Shannon Badger and Megan Furnett. The Community Theater Award. The Community Theater Award is presented to a student who has actively participated in school and community theatrical productions. The 2000 recipient of the Community Theater Award is a young lady who, as her senior project, directed the one-act play, Ms. Shannon Badger. The Ella Mae O'Brien Scholarship. The Ella Mae O'Brien Scholarship, given by Dr. and Mrs. Robert O'Brien in memory of Ella Mae O'Brien, is presented to the young woman who best exemplifies her qualities. The 2000 recipient of the Ella Mae O'Brien Scholarship is Bridget Everts. The John E. O'Brien Memorial Scholarship. The John E. O'Brien Memorial Scholarship, given by Dr. and Mrs. Robert O'Brien, is presented to a young man who best exemplifies the character of John E. O'Brien. The 2000 recipient of the John E. O'Brien Memorial Scholarship is Ryan LaRoche. Martell Scholarship. The Linwood Martell Scholarship, co-sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to a deserving student in financial need who has participated athletically and who has attained good grades, who has been a good citizen, and who is pursuing higher education. The 2000 recipient of the Linwood Martell Scholarship is David Muir IV. The Winooski Education Association Scholarship. The Winooski Education Association Scholarship is presented to an individual entering the field of education in recognition for exceptional contributions to school activities and all-around excellence in academics. The 2000 recipient of the Winooski Education Association Scholarship is David Muir IV. The Vermont Honor Scholarship. The Vermont Honor Scholarship, initiated by the Vermont Legislature, is presented to a student with outstanding academic achievement going on to college. The 2000 recipient of this honor, the Vermont Honor Scholarship, is Mark Thompson. The Leadership Scholarship, sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to a student who has demonstrated outstanding leadership qualities and exemplifies positive attitudes. The 2000 recipient of the Leadership Scholarship is Nicholas Scandori. The DAR Good Citizen Award. The DAR Good Citizen Award is given to a student who has the qualities of dependability, service, leadership, and patriotism. The 2000 recipient of the DAR Award is Marcy Raymond Carton. The Mayor and City Council Scholarships. The Mayor and City Council Scholarship, co-sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to two students who have shown the most improvement over 4 years of high school. The 2000 recipients of the Mayor and City Council Scholarship are Michaela Shea and Nicholas Whitney. Academic scholarships. The academic scholarships, sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, are presented to two students who excel academically. The 2000 recipients of the academic scholarships are Bridget Everett and Mark Thompson. The Challenge Scholarship. The Challenge Scholarship, sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to a well-rounded, highly motivated student in the top 25% of the graduating class who's overcome obstacles in achieving his or her success. The 2000 recipient of the Challenge Scholarship is Trin Pham. The PTO Scholarship. The PTO Scholarship, co-sponsored by Dollars for Scholars, is presented to students who are pursuing a career in education who have displayed community involvement through school or work experience. The 2000 recipients of the PTO Scholarship are Travis LaForce and Elizabeth Potvin. The Moose Lodge President's Service Scholarship. The Moose Lodge President's Service Scholarship, co-sponsored by the Loyal Order of Moose, Burlington Lodge 1618, and the Corporation for National Service, is intended to reward and encourage activities that have a significant impact in meeting the needs of the local community. The 2000 recipient of the Moose Lodge National Service Scholarship is Marcy Raymond Carton. The David Fritz Lister Scholarship. The David Fritz Lister Scholarship is co-sponsored by Friends and Athletes of Mr. Lister and by Dollars for Scholars, and is awarded to a male or female based on need, citizenship, and academic excellence, and athletic participation. The 2000 recipient of the David Fritz Lister Scholarship is Megan Furnett. The Rod Stone Memorial Scholarship. The Rod Stone Memorial Scholarship is presented in memory of Roderick L. Stone, to a hardworking individual blessed with an inquisitive nature, a love of life, and a commitment to excellence. The 2000 recipient of the Rod Stone Memorial Scholarship is Mark Thompson. The Robert S. Walker Jr. Award. The Robert S. Walker Jr. Award is presented by the Walker family in memory of Bob Walker, Winooski High School class of '96, to a graduate who exemplifies Bob's spirit of independence, developing maturity, and commitment to self-improvement. The plaque, which is part of the award, reads as follows. Bob Walker Memorial Turnaround Award presented to Matthew Renault, class of 2000. Presented to Matthew Renault, class of 2000, for enduring and keeping alive Bob's spirit, maturity, commitment, and self-improvement, June 18th, 2000. Congratulations, Matt. The Jerry Krasnow Memorial Award, given by the Krasnow family in memory of Jerry Krasnow, teacher and guidance counselor at Winooski High School from 1973 to 1998. The Jerry Krasnow Memorial Award is given this year to 3 graduates who plan to continue their education, who have shown commitment to community service, and have demonstrated an ability to overcome personal challenges with an upbeat, optimistic attitude and sense of humor about life in general. The 2000 recipients of the Jerry Krasnow Memorial Award are Megan Furnett, Ton Nguyen, and Nick Scandori. The Regular Veterans Association Scholarships. The Regular Veterans Association Scholarships based on need are presented to a young man and a young woman who are continuing their education at the collegiate or vocational level. The 2000 recipients of the Regular Veterans Association Scholarships are Alma Bashic and Michael Deering. Salutatorian Award. It's now my pleasure and privilege to present the Salutatorian Award to the member of the class of 2000 who has achieved the second highest grade point average over her high school career. The Salutatorian is asked to come forward. That is Miss Bridget Everts. The Valedictorian Award. We now honor the valedictorian, a member of the class of 2000 who has achieved the highest grade point average over his high school career. This year's valedictorian is Mark Thompson. Okay. This concludes the presentation of scholarships and awards for the class of 2000. As class gifts, we are now going to memorialize our valedictorian and salutatorian in the gym. If you call your attention to the wall to my left, your right, you'll see the gift from the class of 2000, and that is going to be something we add to each year as our 2 folks are selected for that award. Governor Dean, Superintendent Karen, members of the Board of School Trustees, faculty, parents, and friends. It is my distinct privilege to certify that the members of the class of 2000 assembled before you have met the requirements for graduation set forth by the State of Vermont and the Winooski Board of School Trustees. Therefore, with pleasure, I present to you the graduates of the class of 2000. Presenting diplomas will be Thomas C. Kane, the President of the Board of School Trustees, Edward W. Karen, the Superintendent of Schools, and Governor Howard Dean. Shannon Marie Badger. Alma Bashich. Jennifer Bodwin. Justin Bissonette. David Allen Bushy. Patrick John Breen. Alyssa Jo Burbo. Michael Bruce Deering. Kara Diane Dennis. Bridget Danielle Everts. Behind you. On the side. Sorry. Melissa A. Foster. Megan C. Frenette. Sue Ellen Garvat. Elizabeth Gow Hazen. Michael Justin Hemingway. Travis Timothy LaForce. Ryan Rial LaRoche. John Allen LeClaire. Megan Lovejoy. Jeremy John Marrier. Justin Marrier. Ryan Nicholas McKinley. Christopher Thomas Mungin. Andrew Curtis Moore. David E. Muir IV. Chi Nguyen. Tan Nguyen. Sean Todd Paquette. Trin Pham. Elizabeth Ann Potvin. Michelle Primo. Lee Julius Ravelin. Marcy May Raymond Carton. Matthew Michelle Renault. Nicholas Lee Scandori. Michaela Shea. Selver Sisic. Mark Eugene Thompson. Julia Melba White. And finally, Nicholas Boyd Witten. Thank you very much.